you so much for joining us at the franchise seminar today, Franchise A to Z. And we tackle all aspects of franchising from the franchisor side and from the franchisee side. All right. So I will put up my presentation to show you what we are talking about today. All right. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Rudolf Kotik. Originally, I was born in Vienna, Austria. Today is actually my birthday. So 63 years ago, I was born in Vienna, Austria. And I started in franchising as a management trainee way back 1978 when I was still young, with a very well-known company. Everybody knows them, with a certain golden M. And I made my career there for 6 years, and then I joined Holiday Inn, the hotel chain, also as a marketing director for Europe. And I joined other companies as from franchise development. And then once I came to the Philippines, I started RK Franchise Consultancy. And we started 1995 in Cebu. And in our present setup, we started 1999 in Manila. And so far, we developed more than 900, actually. We reached 900 companies already into franchise systems. So to show you a few of them, we have clients from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, from all over the place. And a lot of very, very well-known brands like Jerry's Grill, Phoenix Petroleum, in the non-food, etc., etc. All right. We also have a web portal, franchise.ph. We also the organizer of the Cebu Franchise Expo since the year 2000. The Mindanao Franchise Expo for the last 17 years, the Iloilo Franchise Expo, and the Palawan Franchise Expo. And we also the publisher of the Franchising PH magazine. And I would like to inform my dear guests that this presentation is copyrighted. Any use of the slides and the content without written permission of the copyright owner, which is me and my company, RK Franchise Consultancy Inc., is not allowed. But if you ask me, we can provide you with materials, okay? All right, let's talk about franchising, how it all started. It started in the 1860. The Singer Company was the first company to award franchises for the sewing machines. In the 1880s, the cities gave electricity companies utility franchises. Then in 1900, the automobile industry and the petroleum companies began franchising. The first food franchise is an American burger chain called White Castle. They're still in operation until today. It's not the same White Castle what Filipinos take in the fluid version. So that's a different kind of White Castle. But until now, they're into franchising. And the way we franchise today, and what I will be talking about this afternoon, is what we call business format franchising. And that was started particularly in 1955 by McDonald's, and by today they have 38,000 restaurants worldwide. In the Philippines, similar, it was started in 1910 by the Singer Company. Then McDonald's started 1981, 1984. Jollibee started franchising. 1995, we opened in Cebu, our first office. And then 1997, the Asian crisis came. And that actually changed the whole picture on franchising. Because prior to the Asian crisis, all the brands which were available for franchising in the Philippines were local brands. Were foreign brands. All right, especially US brands. But because when the Asian crisis hit us, the dollar went from 20 pesos to 40 pesos and 50 pesos. So at that time, the foreign brands became prohibitive expensive. So that people then were looking for domestic brands to franchise. And while the Asian crisis was not really something good generally, it was the best thing ever happened to the Philippine franchise industry because that opened the gates for the domestic franchising. All right. So actually, that crisis was something good for us. And by today, 25 years later, we have 1,800 franchise companies on the market, 250 are foreign, and the rest are locals. And RK Franchise Consultancy developed more than 50% of the market. So what's the demand and supply? Around 60% of all franchises, supply and demand are food franchises. Now, these figures are somewhat pre-pandemic. I must admit that the vanity sector, which is the salons, the spas, the beauty products, which grew in the last decade extremely strongly, came to a standstill because of the pandemic, almost. And the foodies increased even more. And then the third biggest group was the health, the drugstores, the laboratories. Then the retail business. Interestingly, when we started more than 23 years ago, retail was number one. All right, especially with the clothing retailing was number one. They been stagnant since that time actually. Therefore, their share reduced. All right. Piece franchises, pawn shops, internet, also forwarding companies, courier companies, all of that is flourishing now, especially courtesy of the pandemic. Education franchises have always been steady burners since ever. And today, practically almost anything under the sun is franchisable. So what we talk now this afternoon is about business format franchising, which is actually a contractual relationship between two parties, the franchisor with the OR at the end, who awards the franchise, and the franchisee with the double E at the end, who buys the franchise. And the franchisor allows the franchisee to use the business system, trademark, and corporate identity for a certain period of time. And the franchisee purchases someone else's experience, expertise, and method of doing business, and doesn't have to go through the pain of a new startup. Now, generally speaking about franchising, each franchisee is legally an independent entity, okay? Every franchisee has to get their own either TTI registration or SEC registration. They have to get their own mayor's permit. They have to get their own PR registration, all right? Or any other government registration they need in order to operate legally. The franchisor controls products and services that the franchisee are permitted to sell. You see, if you are, for example, if you're a McDonald's franchisee, you cannot sell Shu Pao because you like to eat Shu Pao. You can only sell what the franchisor allows you to sell, not more and not less. Also, the franchisor controls operating assets, goods, and services utilized by the franchisee through the procurement program. The procurement program are the authorized lists of suppliers and supplies from where a franchisee has to purchase. A franchisee cannot just buy anything wherever he wants to buy it. So this is regulated. The franchisor regulates what a franchisee needs to buy to set up the business and once he runs the business and where he has to buy it, all right? Also, the franchisor grants an exclusive or protected territory around the franchise facility. In most cases, this normally does not always apply to carts or kiosks, but especially for store facilities, there's a certain radius around the franchise facility on well, there won't be any other company or franchise outlet awarded. All right. This can be a very small radius, especially when it comes to convenience stores or bake shops who are more depending on pedestrian traffic and immediate neighborhood compared to other businesses which might be more more vehicular visited with vehicles. We also talk of an exclusive relationship between franchisor and franchisee. That means a franchisee can practically have any kind of business, all right? But he cannot have or cannot open any business which would compete with the franchisor, all right? This is what we call the covenants clause, the legal terms. And of course, every franchisee has to secure also their own location, which the franchisee has to approve or disapprove in the end if it's not a good location. So what does a franchise provide? First of all, the system standards, the way a franchisor is operated. There is no difference between a company outlet and a franchise outlet. And if you are a client of an establishment, you actually should find out if this is a company outlet or a franchise outlet. They should be identical operating. Second, the use of the trademark. I have a few slides talking about the trademarks. Then the experience and the wisdom of the franchisor, since the franchisor is already in that business for the longest time. A copy of the operations manual, which normally has a few hundred pages. Training per se is part of the franchise fee. What is not part of the franchise fee is, let's say, like you have to travel, you and your staff, if you buy a franchise, you have to travel to the franchisor. So that expense is at the expense of the franchisee. Also, any kind of allowances for the training is at the expense of the franchisee. Then also something what we call site selection assistance. That means a franchisor will give a franchisee an idea on what kind of locations they should be looking for, how many square meters, how many meter frontage, for example, or what kind of neighborhood they should be looking, so that the business itself matches with the area where they are conducting the franchise outlet. And once the franchisee found the location, the franchisor has to approve or disapprove the location, depending on how good the location is. And a good franchisor would not mind denying a location if it's in his eyes not a good location. Okay, so if you get a franchise and your franchisee says that location sucks, then don't be mad. He knows what he's talking, and look for a better one. And this is also one sign that your franchisor is a good one, that he's not only after your franchise fee, but that he wants to see you also succeed. And of course, the franchisor will also provide store layout, which then has to be approved by the franchisor once the franchisee's contractor has finalized in accordance to the specific square meter of that facility. In some cases, also franchises are providing construction supervision. This is only applicable in bigger construction sites. Among my clients, for example, Cherry's Grill, Phoenix Petroleum, or National Bookstore. All right. And then exclusive territory, that means the radius around the franchise facility, what already explained, wherein we don't allow any company of other franchise outlet to be established. Then the procurement programs, what I already explained, these are the lists of the authorized suppliers and supplies from where the franchisee has to purchase. Opening assistance is very important also. If we go back to the training per se takes usually from 5 days to a month, depending how complex the business is. But the opening assistance also, more or less the same time frame, is given by the franchisor to be with the franchisee when they start up the business. All right, so that's what we call the opening assistance. The salary of the one providing the opening assistance is, of course, at the expense of the franchisor. However, if the opening, let's say the franchise is from Manila and the franchisor is from Manila and the franchisee is, let's say, from Cagayan de Oro, where I'm sitting right now, then the franchisee has to pay the ticket, the hotel, for the person who is providing the opening assistance. All right. Also, any kind of marketing strategies a franchisor is doing, a franchise is allowed to do use as well. Effective field service, we understand two things. First of all, a franchisor has to regularly visit his franchise outlets and make a report about that. How often is actually in the contract. And second, a franchisor has to be available practically whenever a franchisee needs them, which today, of course, is no big deal. Everybody has cell phones, everybody has apps for communication. So no big deal today actually communicating between franchisors and franchisees. And of course, franchisors are also in charge of research and development, coming up with new products, coming up with new marketing schemes or whatever it may be. All right, let's talk about a trademark. What is a trademark? A trademark is anything what is registered with the Intellectual Property Office. All right. So this can be, if you are a franchisor and you have only a TTI or a SEC, this is not enough to be legally accepted as a franchisor. You need a trademark. And even if you don't go into franchising, it's good also to register your logo as a trademark to protect you. All right. Let's say, like, if you look at the corner, Archie Franchise Consultancy, of course, this is a registered trademark. All right. So nobody else other than us is allowed to use it unless we allow them to use it, which we allow our clients, for example, to use it. All right. Or if you look at my background, the Filipino International Franchise Association, that's a trademark with the logo. All right. So what is a trademark? Is used to differentiate goods and services which can be expressed in one word, a group of words and services, a sign, a symbol, a logo, a 3D container. For example, the shape of the old Coca-Cola glass bottle is a trademark. Okay, or a combination of this. A mark is in any visible sign capable of distinguishing the goods or services of an enterprise and shall include a stamped or marked container of goods. In other words, either packaging materials or signage, all right? And is valid for 10 years. I give you examples of trademarks. We have what we call the word marks. So the word itself, like Jollibee. And we have the symbol, the B, or a combination. If you look at the trademark of Meralco, okay, so we have a word mark, a symbol, and a slogan all in one. And it can also be a slogan only, like the slogan of Mercury Drug. All right. So what are the benefits of buying a franchise? Oops. Sorry. Okay. First of all, you receive a proven, profitable system for doing business because the franchisor and probably other franchisees made already money with the system. Second is what we call the branding, the name recall. Normally, everybody starts as a local franchise, a local company in the barangay, in the city. Eventually, they become a regional brand in the region, or in Luzon only, or in Visayas only, or in Mindanao only. And then they become a national brand. And some of them, like 40 of our clients, become international brands. Okay. Of course, if you buy a franchise and they're still on the local level, the franchise fee is the lowest. The stronger the brand, the higher the franchise fee. Of course, also to get a franchise is much less risk than if you would do the whole thing by yourself. You gain advice. In a franchise system, you're never alone. You can always ask a franchisor, you can ask other franchisees, or you can ask us if you're the consultant. And of course, you can start it up much faster than an independent business because of all the assistance you get, the manuals, the training, the opening assistance. So what are the pitfalls of franchising? If you get a franchise which is not properly professionally developed, there might be thousands of loopholes in the contracts or in the operations manual, if ever they have one. So also, if you have a franchisor who does not offer training or has no operations manual, or the operations manual is only 20 pages, all right? Or worst, if you have a franchisor who does not have a trademark for his business. Because if he does not have a trademark, whoever has the trademark can harass the franchisees for trademark infringement. So make sure if you buy a franchise that your franchisor owns the trademark. What are the legitimate drawbacks of franchising? Of course, you have to pay fees. You have to pay franchise fee, administration fee probably. You have to pay royalties. You have to participate in the procurement program. You have to spend maybe for advertisements. Very important also that the franchisee has to respect the norms of the concept, especially the quality standards and obligation to follow the concept and the operational standards. All right. So if you have a problem following other people's rules and regulations, probably you should not get a franchise. Okay. Also, if you're an egocentric personality, if everything has to be your way, better don't get a franchise, because in that case, you will not succeed as a franchise. All right. Examine the opportunities in selecting a franchise. As I said earlier, we have 1,800 franchise companies in the Philippines. Cost of investment. Of course, you need money. Nobody gives you a franchise because you're cute. You may avail of franchise loans. PPI is offering it. Union Bank has it. Metro Bank has it. PNB has it. We don't endorse any of them since none of them are real franchise loans. Then the type of interest, you see, you don't really have to be an expert. You don't have to be afraid. I want to get a restaurant franchise, but I don't know how to cook. That's fine. I will tell you 99% of all restaurant franchisee owners only know how to eat. Okay? So don't worry about that. But you have to have the interest doing it, but even though without the knowledge. More important is that you have the right vocation. For especially retail or for restaurants, food businesses, location is very important till now. Then, of course, once you find the franchise company you're interested in, check the background of the franchise. Check if they have a trademark. And ask other franchisees about how the company is as a franchisor. Analyze and evaluate before you decide. You can take your time. Okay. Now, during the pandemic, is it a good time to buy a franchise? Yes. The reasons are simple. First of all, a lot of franchisors give special discounted rates during the pandemic. The landlords are also easy to talk right now, negotiate, because if you look around, so many empty spaces. So the clever landlords will negotiate a price. The ones who are not really that bright, they will stick to the old rates and they will remain empty for a longer time. And also the good thing is all the applications today is online. Your meetings with franchisors are online. Also for franchisors, it's easy because you can talk several at the same time. You can have group meetings with applicants. So for both parties, it's easier. And let's say, like, if you are like me, I'm sitting here in Cagayan de Oro. If I would want to get a franchise from Manila, I don't have to fly to Manila to apply. I can do it online. So actually, it's the advantages of the situation right now to buy a franchise, because you get discounts, you're getting better deals, and the process is much easier than before, actually. So unfortunately, I would say, especially on Facebook today, there are a huge number of scams out there. Okay, unbelievable, some of them. So let's discuss that one. So I don't want you to be a victim of scam. So first of all, if it's too good to be true, most likely it's not true anymore. If all the contact numbers what the franchisor gives you is cell phones only, if he does not have even a landline, this is suspicious. Okay, if they want money upfront, this is also suspicious, because normally you just pay upon signing of the MOA and upon signing of the franchise agreement, but not before you get that. Okay. Also, most scammers give you franchise agreements with 1 year or 2 year contracts. So anything below 3 years is generally marked as a scam. We are starting at 3 years with some of the cards and kiosks, but with store franchises, it's at least 5 years. And then also the contracts themselves. A good contract is at least 20 pages or more in length, 25, 30, 40, 50. All right, so if somebody offers you a 3-page franchise agreement or even a 7-page franchise agreement, that I would consider is a scam. Also, if they have no franchise disclosure information, all right, the TTI requires franchisor to give a franchise disclosure to people who are approved as a prospective franchisee. If they have no trademark, several scammers have already trademarked, so to cover it up. If they're not a member of any of the 3 associations, we have 3 franchise associations in the Philippines, in alphabetical order, that's AFI, FIFA, and PFA. They should be a member of at least one of the 3, all right? If they're not a member of any of the 3, most likely they're scammer. All RK clients are automatically a member of FIFA, Filipino International Franchise Association. A lot of them are also member of the PFA and AFI, so no problem. All right, and the problem is, if you get scammed, basically no government agency can help you. Of course, you can file a case against. So we made something of a franchise check for you. You can contact us at info@franchiseassociation.biz in advance if a certain company is legit or not. But of course, we cannot help you once you have been scammed. So that's we cannot help you either. All right. Generally, every franchisor is asking royalties. For what purpose? For the continuation use of the trademark, for the continuation assistance by the franchisor, for the availability of franchisor in case of assistance needed, so that they are there whenever they need them. If we talk of royalties, they're always payable monthly in the Philippines and based on gross sales. What do we mean by gross sales? Total sales minus tax, minus discounts like senior citizen discount, minus service charges. Some restaurants have service charges. So minus all of that. In some cases also, minus delivery fees from the food delivery companies, all right? And these are the numbers what usually are paid as royalties. The drugstores have none. Also, the retail businesses have none. Okay? In the retail business, they have no royalty because most of them have no royalty because they build it in the transfer price from the franchisor to the franchisee. So the ones who really have trademark royalty are drugstores, very minimal, and big shops, very minimal also. Food, generally 3 to 6, same as restaurants. Education have higher. The reason why the education has a higher royalty is because they don't have a renewal fee. They are renewing without a fee. I talk about this in the legal later. And then, so they renew the contract, the expiration date without any renewal fee. And also because they have to provide the curriculums to the franchisees. Service franchises like salons and spas, or what we call the vanity sector, they don't have a royalty. That goes back way back 1998 when we accepted the first salons for development. So when I figured out, we cannot use a royalty there, because it would be very easy for a franchisee to cheat actually, and the franchisor can never find it out. So we invented the continuation fee, okay, a fixed rated fee instead of a percentage of sales. So in these cases, the franchisee pays every month the same amount. All right. So let's say like 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, depending on the business. All right. Advertisement wise, we have 4 schemes where a franchisee may have to join with the franchisor. First of all, we have the grand opening marketing, which is normally a small amount, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, for the franchisee to spend by themselves to promote the business within the barangay or within the city. Okay. Then the local store marketing, this is the continuation of promoting the business within the territory, also done by the franchisee himself. Then we have Coop Advertisement. Some of them, most companies don't use it. But for example, if 5 franchises in Bulacan have a billboard on NLEX, for example, okay, so they will be joining the advertisement costs for that one, since they're the beneficiaries. And then the National Advertisement Fund is really the only one which is operated by the franchisor. Of course, first, as the name says, national, you only operate that if you're already a national company. If you are already operating in Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, then of course you will need to promote the brand on TV or radio, broadsheets, or have nationwide online gimmicks, etc., etc. So this is administered by the franchisor. So what are the franchisees' mistakes when they buy a franchise? First of all, if they believe they don't have to work anymore, just collect money. The more hands-on you are, the better. Unless, of course, you buy a co-ownership into a co-ownership franchise. Underestimate the requirements, what it means. So a lot of people think, it's easy to just buy and then that's it. So don't underestimate what it means to be a franchisee. Don't expect also too much from a franchise. A franchisor is not a babysitter who holds your hands 24/7. Okay, they are there to assist you. They're there to train you. But at the end of the day, every franchisee has to run their own business. I opened the business for less. A lot of people want to make shortcut in construction. Then they are catched, and in the end, they're actually spending more than originally planned. Also, if you join a bandwagon, a fad usually lasts 2-3 years, then it's gone. A lot of people were asking me if the milk teas are a fad. And interestingly, the pandemic actually showed that the milk teas became a real product in the sense, essential for most people, and they will be here to stay. Since there are so many brands out there now, who will be surviving? The franchise brands. because they are working on everything. And they're strong enough because of the numbers of outlets there. Independent milk tea shops might close sooner or later. All right. But the brands, the chains, they will survive. Also, a lot of Filipinos don't want to be the first franchisee, which is wrong. It's actually very good to be the first franchisee. Several reasons. First of all, if you're the first franchisee, you're like the first born baby. Okay, you get all the TLC from your franchisor, all the tender love and care of your franchisor. All right. If you're the 300th franchisee, or the area supervisor in your corner of the world will take care of you. And then also the lesser known the brand is, the lesser franchise fee you will be paying, the lesser royalty you will be paying. The stronger the brand, the more expensive the brand becomes. Okay. So don't compare only franchise fees also, but the total investment through the years of the franchise agreement. So let's talk of geography. We have 3 types of franchise arrangements geographically. First, the unit franchise. Unit franchise means 1 contract, 1 outlet. Okay. With a contract period of 3 to 15 years. Most of the contracts start either 3, 4, or 5 years. So 3 years for carts, 4 for kiosk mostly, 5 for stores. But this can also some start at 6, 8, or 10 years. This depends also on the ROI. This depends also on the general investment. Then we talk of an area franchise. As the name says, area franchise. You don't get 1 outlet, but you get a geographical territory, which can be a province, city, or a portion of it. And the franchisee is required to follow a development program. So they have to open a certain number of outlets in a certain period of time. Okay. Let's say like they have to open 3 outlets in 2 years, 5 outlets in 3 years. But it depends on the location. Depends also on what kind of business we are talking here. All right. So that's what we call the development program. And then let's talk about master franchise. So that is covered for an entire country. All right. The rights to a whole country. Like in the Philippines, all foreign brands, what we have here from McDonald's to Dunkin' Donuts, Mr. Donuts, they're all master franchises. So only one entity has the rights for the Philippines. Now, if you're allowed to sub-franchise, then that means you're also allowed to become the franchisor and franchise out to third parties. That depends on the brand, if the franchisor allows that. Again, it comes with a development program, the expansion. So you have to, of course, in a bigger scale, you might have to open 10 outlets or 20 outlets or 50 outlets in a certain period of time, what we call the development program. And as I said earlier, also this is one very big chance for Filipino brands to become global. And so far from my clients, more than 40 of our clients have franchises already outside the Philippines. So today we actually already a net exporter of franchises compared to bringing franchises from other countries to the Philippines, at least for our operation here. All right. So this is a very good example for if you have a business and you want to franchise it outside the Philippines, we can help you there also. As a matter of fact, this Saturday, I'm giving there's the franchise bonanza from AFI, and I have a seminar on international franchise. Okay. Also, it will be a topic next, not this week, but next Thursday in the franchise hour at 4 o'clock on Facebook Live on Rudolf Kotik. Okay. So that's about international master franchising. So what are the steps of getting a franchise? 1 second, please. First of all, if you're interested, request a franchise. So you get the details, the initial details. Fill up the confidential questionnaire and send it to the franchisor with a letter of intent. The franchisor will meet you and discuss the franchise details. Of course, today we do that by Zoom or any other app. Then the franchisor will evaluate your application. A franchisor can say no to an applicant. Okay, but if they say yes, you will receive the franchise disclosure information, which is required from the TTI Bureau Order 1024 of 2010. But this is only given to franchisees, franchise applicants who have been approved as a prospective franchisee. Then you sign the Memorandum of Agreement, the administration fee. Okay, now it separates itself because it depends if you are mall-based or outside the mall. If it's inside the mall, after signing of the MOA, the franchisee can apply for the location in the mall. And the franchisor will, of course, supply all the documentation, what they need in the mall to apply for a location. But they cannot sign it a franchise agreement. Unlike if it's outside the mall on the street location, the franchisee presents the location, franchisor inspects it, approves, and life goes on. And you can sign the franchise agreement. If it's in the mall, you can only sign the franchise agreement once you get the lease offer from the mall. Because when you have a lease offer from the mall, that means the mall approved you as a prospective lessor. Okay. Then you sign the franchise agreement and pay the franchise fee. And then you set up the facility, you undergo training, you have your grand opening assistance, and you go home. All right. So this is what I was talking about, the franchise disclosure required from the TTI Bureau Order 1024 out of 2010. So that includes the company details, the menu, the services, the product list, price, initial investment, and the projected P&L, so that the franchise applicant knows also how much it will cost them in details. A copy of the trademark, a copy of the association membership, so that franchisor can show off his legit. He has a trademark, he's a member of any of the association, and a list of the company and franchise outlets, and also a copy of the MOA and the franchise agreement. Let's talk about the franchise agreement. As I said earlier, we made 900 companies to franchisors. The 900 have all different franchise agreements. But we have certain things which all of them have in common. The topics are always the same. The content is different. All right. So let's talk about the topics of a franchise agreement and a little bit of details. Generally speaking, a franchise agreement is between 25 to 60 pages and always tailored 100% to the client. First of all, we talk about the appointment and the franchise fee, how much he has to pay. Then second, for the terms and the renewal clause, we make sure that all our franchises have a renewal clause, so that once the franchise contract expires, there is no need for franchisor and franchisee to fight it out for the renewal. Our contract actually make it clear that the franchisee has the right to renew. There's the right to renew, provided, of course, they are updated with the training, they are updated with the looks of the outlet, they are updated with the payments. In other words, they have been a good franchisee for the last franchise contract. Then they have the rights to renew. If they have not followed all the standards, then of course the franchisor can say no and does not renew it. Then we talk about the facility location, the equipment, the fixtures, the furniture, the training already explained you, and the opening assistance. All right. Then the rules about the trademarks. In the contracts, you also call them proprietary marks sometimes, because they are proprietary to the franchisor. So that's why we call them also proprietary marks. All right.
Then the rules and regulations about the operations manual. Of course, the operations manual is a separate entity, but in the contract we explain it. Then what we call modification of the system. All right, modification of the system means if the franchisor changes something, for example, has a new menu item, then franchisee has to follow that. The rules about advertisement, we already explained to you. If they have grand opening marketing, local store marketing, Coop Advertisement, national advertisement, whatever they have. Some have all four, some have only two, whatever is applicable. Then the rules about the royalty fees, how much to pay, when to pay, or the continuation fee, any of the two. Then the rules about accounting and records, particularly if there is a POS system involved. Then the standards of quality and performance we expect from the franchisee to follow. And the assistance given by the franchisor to franchise. Then the rules about the insurance, the covenants rules. Covenants means the exclusivity. What I told you earlier, franchisee is not allowed to compete with the franchisor. Then any reason why a franchisee can be in default. It's actually a long list for not paying the franchisor, for not paying the landlord, for not participating in events, or for not following the procedures. You see, the steak should be 200 grams, but it's only 100. So what's wrong? Now, theoretically, all of that are reasons for termination. But a franchisor will not immediately terminate a franchise. We have a process called curing. We cure them first. All right? It's like when you're sick. You get cured, you get medicine, you're okay again. In franchising, the medicine is called notice to cure. So the franchisee has, let's say, like 10 days time to straighten out whatever they're screwing up. And then life goes back to normal. It's like when you have kids and they are screwing up, you scold them and then you love them again. Okay? If the franchisee really screws up more extensive, you can also take over the operation, straighten it out, and then give it back to the franchisee. Of course, worst case scenario would be termination. And for that purpose, which is relatively very, very seldom, and for that purpose, we have the rights and duties of parties upon termination. All right. For example, the franchisee is not allowed to continue the same kind of business for at least 2 years. He cannot use the location for the same kind of business. He can convert if he if he owns the building, or if he leases the location, he can keep it. But he has to transform it into something else. Let's say, like if it was a salon before, he can convert it to a pizza parlor. No problem with that. All right. And of course, the franchisor also has the rights to the signage because they are the trademark of his. Okay. Now, we have also a paragraph in the contract called transferability of interest. In plain English, that means if a franchisee wants to sell his business, he's allowed to do so. He has to find his own buyer, and then the franchisor will approve it, most likely, and the franchisee can sell it to the purchaser with the approval of the franchisor. But he only can sell the remaining balance of the contract. So if you have a 6-year contract, the franchisee sells after 3 years, the one who buys gets the remaining 3 years. And of course, he gets also the rights to the renewal. Also, if the franchisee dies, the heirs can take over, or they can sell it in according to the transferability of interest rule. Unfortunately, in the last 2 years, we had several cases where franchisees died because of COVID, and the heirs were able to continue the operation, or they sold it in accordance to the transferability rules. And anyway, the franchisor always has the right of first refusal. Okay, then beside of that, we have other agreements, like Memorandum of Agreements. This is the pre-contract, what I explained earlier, the agreement with the landlord, which is a tripartite agreement between franchisor, franchisee, and the landlord. Beside of the lease agreement, to secure the location for the franchisor in case the franchisee screws up the landlord or the franchisee. Then a guaranteed assumption of obligation. We use this, for example, if the franchise is given as a gift, let's say like a fresh graduate. A lot of Chinese families today, they give the kids as a college graduation gift a franchise. So then we let the parents sign the guarantee. And transfer lease agreement, this is what I said, if the franchisee sells his business. So this is the agreement between the old franchisee, the new franchisee, and the franchisor. So a lot of you are here because they have a business. Is your business franchisable? Okay, this is the old way. Is your business in operation for at least 1 year? Is beyond the error stage or has achieved its payback period? Today, we also do something what we call ground zero developments. Like Phoenix Petroleum was a ground zero, wherein we were already with the client before they actually started. All right. So today, but generally, we were with them, but the real franchising starts, of course, once the franchise is really beyond the trial and error stage, and also when the financials actually are. And then, if the business also has to be able to be copied according to the systems, the enterprise has to be proven profitable, because if the franchisor does not know how to make money, how can you expect the franchisee to make money? The business type has to have credibility to its clients. And of course, there has to be also a need of in other places of this kind of business, what you're doing. So don't franchise your business if you don't have a prototype. You need at least one outlet for 3 reasons, actually. First of all, to show it off to your prospective franchisees. Second, for training. Where will you train your franchise if you would not have an outlet? Then third, for research and development. Unless, of course, you're an online franchisor. It's a different story. If your business is failing, if you sink, you might sink along your franchising. So that's not really a good idea. And if you're failing, most likely franchising cannot rescue you either. If the business depends too much on yourself, okay? No, we cannot Xerox brains, all right? So we have to be able to duplicate everything. If the gross margins are very small, not compensated by high volume, you might have a problem. If the products are a fad, because if it's a fad, it only lasts 2 or 3 years. Also, if the skills levels are too high, if you cannot teach it in 3 months, it might be difficult. And if you do the franchise development by yourself instead of hiring a professional consultant. So what are the advantages being a franchisee? A lot, actually. First of all, you receive franchise fees, you collect royalties. It's a legitimate income of franchisors, and the franchisee can actually not ask, what are they doing with the money? If they're putting it back in the business or buy Hermes bags, that's really up to the franchisee. Okay. So of course you can also expand the brand at the speed you want to grow. We have clients who live in a shell. They don't want to get out of the shell. Okay, so they are franchising only in a certain radius, especially here in Mindanao. We have a lot of clients who only want to franchise in Mindanao. They don't even want to go to Luzon. All right. And we have others who want to conquer the world. Also, from the speed of the growth, it's up to the franchisor. We have clients who are happy if they have every year one franchise. And we have also clients, let's say like Phoenix LBG, they want every week a franchise. All right. So it depends really on the vision and mission of the franchisor. And of course, in the expansion, use OPM, other people's money. And the franchisor is less involved directly in the operation, because the day-to-day operation is done by the franchisee. And also, once you want to sell it, you can leverage the recognized brand name, the value of the trademark. Okay, and if you're a franchisor and the stronger your brand is, it enhances your business image, and also it ensures consistent quality the more franchises you have. And if you operate from a commissary, you can attain higher productivity. Therefore, you can work economies of scales, which also reduces the risk of failures. Sorry. And the better your brand is, the better access you also get in the malls. If you're mall-based, to get good locations. Look at the malls. Who has the best spots? It's always Jollibee and McDonald's because they're the biggest brands. So let's talk about becoming a franchisor. What do you need to be a franchisor? First of all, and this is what we do for our clients at the RK Franchise Consultancy. First of all, we do a franchise structure. This is where we calculate franchise fees, royalties, continuation fees, the length of the agreement, investment package, payback period, space requirements. Then we provide all our clients a franchisor manual, which is a guide on how to find franchisees, how to select them, how to treat them, how to pick them, and everything else about being a franchisor. Then very important is a professional operations manual. So like in our case, I have a bunch of employees. They do nothing else but operations manuals. Okay, they're specialized business developers on operations manuals. A good operations manual is usually between 600 to 1,000 pages. And it has sub-manuals. So the sub-manuals is like the pre-opening manual, all what a franchisee has to do before they open the business. Second, the administrative manual, all about employees, from hiring to firing, and the money. Then specialty manuals, let's say like kitchen manual for a restaurant, baking manual for a bake shop, etc., etc. Then the operating standard manual from opening to closing of the outlet. Then the training manual, and then forms and reports. All right. We also prepare a lot of forms for the franchisees, for the employees, for the inventory, for the reporting from franchisee to franchisor, etc., etc. And then, of course, from the legal documentation, we prepare the franchise agreements. Actually, today we give several agreements. Usually the unit franchise agreement, so for one outlet, and the area franchise agreement. Then sometimes we also use a territory development agreement. Sometimes we use also a master franchise for other countries. If we feel that our client will become international sooner or later, we do it from the very beginning. Plus all the side agreements. So when we make the legal part of a franchise development, we can say normally our clients gets between 10 to 20 contracts. So all the legal stuff they will ever need in the franchising life, call it that way. All right. Then from the franchise marketing, you need, of course, a franchise brochure, franchise marketing kit. Again, our clients get it from us because we have an in-house graphic team who does all of that, including the franchise disclosure information, what is required from the TTI, what you give to those applicants whom you have approved as a franchisee. And then the website, we have a website, franchise.ph. All our clients will be there. So in our web portal, we include all our clients because it's very popular, particularly among OFWs, to look at it, and they can find you there. So other assistance we provide, we help in the securing of the trademarks. We have our in-house trademark specialists. We are doing marketing assistance. We also help our clients with the first franchisees, okay? Then you become automatically, if you're an ARCE client, you become a free member of FIFA. You won't have to pay any membership fee. We give you practically a lifelong free after service. You will end up on our web portal, like I said, on our website. You may be also featured in the magazine, Franchising PH magazine. We also provide office assistance for our provincial clients. If they come to Manila, they can use our office to meet the franchises there. And we have yearly membership meetings. March 30 will be our next one. This year, of course, we still do it Zoom, where we bring all our clients together and we update them. What happened in the last year, let's say like legally, what's the news, marketing-wise, what's the news, operation side, anything. And we have always guest speakers. So there's always a membership meeting, which is free. part of being a FIFA member. All right. So this was all about business format franchise. Sometimes we twist it. We have to use, instead of business format franchising, we're using licensing arrangements. Okay. If you have only the technology to transfer, not the whole business process. Okay. Also, like the gasoline stations, we package them like a franchise, but legally they're a dealership. Okay. So all the gasoline stations, what we developed, like Phoenix Petroleum, Mars Fuel, Powerfield, GT Oil, Blue Energy, etc., etc. All of them are dealerships legally. These distributorships we also developed, wherein this is what we especially use with cosmetic distribution ships, all right, or food distribution, etc. So the future about franchising, definitely it's not a fad. Over 150 years practiced as a system, growing by 100 franchises a year in the Philippines. Luckily, half of that are our clients. Great for any company to expand if the franchise is properly developed, and also the growth controlled. And if you have money to buy a franchise, it's the best way how to invest your money. So if you want to talk to us about franchise development or getting a franchise, call us. The landline is 89122946, 89122973. If you want to contact us via WhatsApp, Viber, IMO, or POTIM, 0963 917 321 Then our regular cell number is 0917 874 3620, and for Sun, 0933 864 2552, and our email is rk@rkfranchise.com. It's actually my email. All right. So if you want to connect with us on our social media, in Facebook, it's our page is RK Franchise Consultancy. In Instagram, it's RK Franchise. In Twitter, it's RK Franchise. And in YouTube, we have a channel. It's RK Franchise as well. So we also feature our clients in, as I said earlier, in the franchise.ph and in our franchise magazine. And every Thursday, we have the franchise hour. Okay, we're introducing our clients, we're introducing other consultants in business forums. And for example, this Thursday, we are talking about Medicus. So this is live at 4 p.m. in Facebook, under my Facebook, Rudolf Kotik, or under RK Franchise Consultancy, or Facebook Franchise Hour. All right, you can listen to us. We discuss always on franchise. Also, the magazine, what I said earlier, Franchising Page magazine, you can read it online, free. So this is the February issue. Just go to franchising.ph and you can read 50 pages, stories about franchising, business, and opportunities. This time we feature companies, 10 of them, which we developed last year, 2021. So these are the new ones, 10 of them. And also for your trademarks, please get in touch with us. If you need assistance with the trademark, please get in touch with our trademark specialist, Mr. Sokri Malako. His number is 89111966, 0933-864-2553, or 0917-860-9329. And the email is info@franchiseassociation.biz. Now, I told you about the expansion of distributorship businesses. So we have the company called GoFran. You can see the logos behind me. In GoFran, we're actually doing two things. First of all, we're doing distributorship packages, structures, marketing flyers, distributorship contracts, distributor manual, territory mapping. So not for a franchise system, but for the distributorship. But we're also doing certain things for franchising. If a franchisor has already certain things, but he misses other things, let's say like manuals or legal or anything like that, then we also help him through the GoFran system. And we also have an international arm, Franmundo, which develops franchises in 35 countries. Okay, so I'm handling that as well. So if you're listening from outside the Philippines and you have a business there, please get in touch through us at franmundo.com. And of course, you can become a member of the Philippine International Franchise Association. A lot of benefits to be a member there. And I would like to thank you for listening to me. And in case you have any questions, please feel free to ask now. She and Reg are standing by as well to answer any kind of questions you may have. Feel free to ask now. All right. Other than that, please get in touch with Shay or Mr. Reg or myself if you need still anything about franchising. These are the two ladies who are right now with me in the room. And I thank you so much for spending the last hour with me in our seminar. We'll be still online now in case you have any question that you want to share with us. Will be remaining. Thank you so much.